What's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and here's my official review for 300 Rise of an Empire. Now, this movie was not directed by Zack Snyder as the first one was, but instead he only decided to come in as a producer. And instead it is directed by Noam Murillo and stars Steven Stapleton, Eva Green, and Lena Headey. And this movie in a whole really isn't really a sequel to 300. In fact, I want to say the first 10 minutes are more of a prequel, kind of setting up how the events of 300 and this film actually took place. And instead of following the Spartans with the Battle of Thermopylae as the first film did, we are following the Athenians leading up to the Battle of Salamis, which is basically the major naval battle between the Greek forces and the Persians. And we follow Themistocles, and he's pretty much one of the head Athenian politicians, and he's trying to pretty much unite all the Greek city-states into a united front so that they could stand up to the Persians. But unfortunately, as some of us may know if you know your history, the Spartans don't quite join them right out of the gate. And so he decides that he is going to challenge the Persian naval forces with everything that he has, while the Spartans will defend on land at the hot gates at Thermopylae. And across the sea, we have Eva Green's character, and she pretty much is the main head commander for all of the Persian naval forces, and she has this really serious, deep hatred for the Greeks, and it all clashes into one serious series of naval battles, which really will establish who will win this war between the Greek forces and the Persian Empire. Now, I have to say, this was an awesome film. This movie did a lot of things better than the original 300, and I absolutely liked how they kind of stylized it in a different way apart from the first film. The action scenes are a lot different. Instead of the giant phalanx forms that we saw in the first film, the Athenians are actually just going head-to-head, one-on-one combat, just cutting through Persians left and right like the serious badasses that they are. I liked how the visual design was certainly different. Since we're obviously on the seas, it definitely has like a blue flavor to it, which I was absolutely into. I thought the soundtrack for the battle scenes was phenomenal. I'm looking for it, so if you guys can get me like the movie version, please tell me in the comments down below. I also really enjoyed the performances. Now, for an unknown person as Steven Stapleton, I thought he did rather good for his character of Themistocles. I won't say he got me as pumped up as Gerard Butler's Leonidas, but I felt that his speeches were certainly inspiring, and he did really good in the action scenes. However, I thought the main performance of Eva Green as pretty much the main villain of the film was absolutely phenomenal. I really have not seen a female villain like this done to this extent, done so well. I mean, she clearly is the one thing you're going to remember after leaving this film. And they actually spent a good amount of time developing her backstory, so you actually don't hate this character. When you actually see what happened to her, which pretty much led to her fighting with the Persians and kind of ended up being kind of crazy, you can kind of sympathize with her. Unfortunately, I was a little bit upset that Lena Headey really wasn't in this film all that much. She had a lot less screen time than she did in the first film, and she's only in this film for maybe less than 10 minutes, and she's only in for like 3 scenes, which I found really upsetting. Now, aside from this movie having excellent soundtracks, great visuals, and just absolutely mind-blowing action, it does have a couple of problems. There was a series of lost opportunities that really held this movie back. For starters, they really didn't develop the Xerxes character, and despite the fact that this really isn't based on any outsourced material, except from apparently a book that Frank Miller is writing based off of Xerxes, they really didn't spend enough time developing his character. I mean, they took some time showing his backstory and showing how Eva Green's character manipulated Xerxes into becoming the way he is. He really has not even less screen time in this film than he did in the first film. And if these books are supposed to be, you know, based off of Xerxes' story, it would have been nice to develop his character more so I can understand his purpose. I also didn't like how the Spartans were portrayed. They have very little screen time, but they're shown as really arrogant characters. I mean, when the Athenians go to the Spartans for the first time, they say, you guys, you know, you can't do this yourself, we need your help, and they kind of just tell the Athenians to kind of screw off twice, and then they kind of just show up at the end, and it just feels forced. I mean, if you know your history, you know exactly what eventually happened, and you have to let these celebrities go. But I just think that how they were portrayed was just not quite as good. I mean, the Athenians were hardly talked about in the first film, but if you're going to actually add the Spartans into this film and add all these Easter eggs to the first film, I would at least give them some development, and they just didn't do that. Which is why, unfortunately, I can't say it's better than 300 in a lot of ways, but it's certainly on par. And I would even go so far as to say there's even some possibility that we could see a third film, which I personally would not mind seeing. In a whole, this was a great film. If you absolutely love the first film like I did, you're going to love this film too, and I would absolutely just seeing it once or even twice. And I'm going to give this film an A-. Absolutely check this out. It was a great watch. I enjoyed myself. And if you like this movie review, feel free to like, comment down below, and please subscribe to check me my future movie and video game reviews. And you can also press one of the links in the description down below to follow me on Twitter or friend me on Facebook, and I will be sure to friend you and follow you back. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.